Hey guys, good afternoon. These are your notes for completing the square. Okay, you can see here I have b squared over 4a written down. This is the formula that we're going to use to get the number that will complete the square. Okay, I've listed the steps, so you might want to pause your video. Number one, you're going to rewrite in ax squared plus bx equals c. So we want the constant on the right hand side. Number two is you're going to make your a term a perfect square. Remember, perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. Okay, once that's happened, you're going to complete the square using the b squared over 4a, and you're going to add that number to both sides of your equation. Because remember, if we add the same thing to both sides, we haven't changed the equation technically. It's still balanced. Okay. Once you've done that, you're going to factor the left side as a perfect square trinomial and then solve using square roots, just like yesterday. If you don't remember about the perfect square trinomial, please feel free to go back in your notes to factoring using special products. Okay, so example number 1 is x squared minus 10x equals 11. Okay, so step 1 has already been done because it's in the correct format. And step 2 is already done because my a term is 1, which is a perfect square. So at this point, what I'm going to do is complete the square. So b is negative 10. So I have negative 10 squared over 4 times a is 1. So negative 10 squared is 100. Divided by 4 is 25. So I'm going to add 25 now to both sides of my equation. So it now looks like x squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 36. Okay, once I've done that, I can now factor the left side as a perfect square trinomial. So this is x minus 5 squared equals 36. Okay, we're going to take the square root of both sides. So I'm left with x minus 5, I guess I didn't need that parenthesis, equals positive or negative 6. Okay, and then I need to add 5 to both sides. So x equals 5 plus or minus 6. Again, when it's something that we can simplify, we always do. So x equals 5 plus 6 is 11. Or x equals 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Okay, so just a small added step, not a big deal. Example number 2 is x squared plus 6x equals 2. Again, we can skip step 1 and step 2 because they're both done. So b squared would be 6 squared over 4 times 1. 6 squared is 36 over 4, which is 9. So 9 is what I'm going to add to both sides of my equation. So I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 2. I'm going to factor that as a perfect square trinomial. So I have x plus 3 squared equals 2. Take the square root of both sides. Oh, and it's not 2. I didn't add 9 to both sides. Excuse me, made a mistake. I apologize. That should be the number 11. So when I take the square root, I have x plus 3 equals positive or negative radical 11. Actually, 11. There we go. So to solve for x, I need to subtract 3 from both sides. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 11. today you will not have to get the decimal approximation, so your answer like that is just fine. Example number 3 is 16x squared minus 16x equals 5. Okay, it's in the correct format. My a term is a perfect square, so I can go ahead and complete the square. So that'd be negative 16 squared over 4 times 16. Negative 16 squared is 256, and 4 times 16 is 64. 256 divided by 64 is 4. So I need to add my 4 to both sides. So I get 16x squared minus 16x plus 4 equals 9. And the fact to the left side is a perfect square trinomial. So that is 4x minus 2 squared equals 9. Need to take the square root of both sides now. So 4x minus 2 equals positive or negative 3. Okay, and to solve for x, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So 4x equals 2 plus or minus 3. And then I need to divide both sides by 4. Okay, and again, we can work that out twice. So x equals 2 plus 3 is 5. So 5/4, or x equals 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So we're left negative 1/4. Okay. Example number 4 is 4x squared plus 12x equals 5. Okay, and again, step 1 and step 2 are already done for us. So my b term is 12, so we have 12 squared over 4 times my a term is 4. 12 squared is 144, and 4 times 4 is 16. 144 divided by 16 is 9. So I'm going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides. So I have 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 equals 14. Fact to the left is the perfect square trinomial. So this would be 2x plus 3 squared equals 14. You need to take the square root of both sides again. So I have 2x plus 3 equals positive or negative radical 14. You might be tempted to try to simplify that, but it's 2 times 7, so we can't simplify it. So I would be subtracting 3 from both sides. So 2x equals negative 3 plus or minus radical 14. And then I need to divide by 2. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus radical 14 all over 2. Sorry. Example number 5 is 1/2 x squared plus 3x equals 14. Okay, and step 1 is done, but this time step 2 is not, because 1/2 is not a perfect square. So I'm going to take the whole equation and multiply it by 2. 1/2 x times 2 is, or x squared, sorry, is x squared. 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times 14 is 28. Okay, so now my a term is a perfect square, and I can complete the square. So I have 6 squared over 4 times 1. 6 squared is 36 over 4, which is 9. So 9 is what I'm going to add to both sides of my equation. So I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 37. I'm going to factor the left side as the perfect square trinomial. So that's x plus 3 squared equals 37. Take the square root of both sides. So I have x plus 3 equals positive or negative radical 37. And then I need to subtract 3. So x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 37. Okay. Example 6 is 2x squared minus 4x equals 16. Again, step 1 has been done, but step number 2, my a term, is not a perfect square. So I can multiply this by 2. Remember, you have to distribute it to every term. So this is 4x squared minus 8x equals 32. And now I can complete the square. So I have negative 8 squared over 4 times 4. Negative 8 squared is 64. 4 times 4 is 16. And 64 divided by 16 is 4. So 4 is the number I add to both sides. So I have 4x squared minus 8x plus 4 equals 36. Factor the left is a perfect square trinomial. I get 2x minus 2 squared equals 36. Take the square root of both sides. So I have 2x minus 2 equals positive or negative radical 30. Oh, not radical 36. Hello, Pixley. It's 6. Positive or negative 6. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So 2x equals 2 plus or minus 6. And then I need to divide by 2. And again, these are numbers that we can use. So x equals 2 plus 6 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. Or x equals 2 minus 6 is negative 4, divided by 2 is negative 2. Okay, on your homework, when you have it, you will have projectile word problems. And in those word problems, they're going to ask you for the maximum height, probably. So, to find the vertex, remember, these are parabolas. So when we find the vertex of a parabola, the formula is negative b over 2a, and then solve for y. Also, the motion model is h equals negative 16t squared plus vt plus s. And, I suppose it would help if you guys could have seen what I was writing. For today, you're welcome. There is no homework. Have a good day.